that thanks to the magic of technology, we are going to discuss the Group 1 Wrestling State Tournament. Things are supposed to start tonight, Monday, but all the bad weather around the state. Looks like a couple of dual meets will be in, but for the most part, the tournament will be starting in bulk on Tuesday around the state. First off, North Jersey Section 1, Group 1, really intriguing section. Now you have Pompton Lakes, the top seed. They're the favorite. Other teams like Newton in there in the mix. I'm going to throw it to my partner, Pat Lanny, and he's going to give us a little bit about Pompton Lakes, who's having a really good season.
No doubt about it, James. They're 17-3 on the year. They've run a clean sweep through the NJIC, which is all Group 1 schools, as you know. But not just Group 1 schools. They've handled some big schools, too. They beat Sparta early on in the year, and they've also beat Wayne Hills out in Passaic County, too. So those are two quality wins for the Cardinals.
You know, Pat, it seems like there's a lot of, intrigue about North 1. People don't really know who's going to win. But North 2 Group 1 is pretty much a formality, which is kind of maybe a shame, maybe a little bit of a shame considering that it's a really deep section. Obviously, Bound Brook is going to win that section. There's no other team in that section that can match their firepower, their hammers throughout the lineup. But then you look at the rest of the section: second-seeded Roselle Park, third-seeded New Providence, fourth-seeded Manville, fifth-seeded Whippany Park, sixth-seeded Belvedere. Belvedere might be the best sixth seed in the state. I would think a lot of people have talked about it. It would be really intriguing to see what would happen if maybe some of those teams like Belvedere, Whippany Park were in North Jersey Section 1, and then for Central Jersey 1, it would be nice maybe what happens if Manville moved down there. But then again, Central's pretty loaded as it is, Joe, correct?
Central Jersey Group 1 is actually not too bad. I think the two teams to keep an eye on in that section are Cinnaminson, and they're 20-1. They lost their first match Saturday to Collingswood, which I view as kind of a surprise. And Point Pleasant Beach, they're 20-1. Point Beach lost last Thursday to rival Point Borough. I think the most impressive thing about Cinnaminson is up top from 60 clean up to heavy. They have some finishers, and I think that makes them tough. I think it's going to be a Cinnaminson Beach final in Central 1. I don't know whether either of them have the depth, the balance, or the strength, though, to make a challenge to the two big boys in this section, Paulsboro and Bound Brook.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Paulsboro, Bill, I got to imagine it's pretty much sort of like North 2-1. It looks like it's going to be the Red Raiders coming out of the South.
Yeah, they've already beaten the number 2 seed Haddon Township, number 3 seed Collingswood, number 4 seed Woodstown. All those scores were about 40 points. So, there's no real chance for an upset here.
So, all right, prediction time. We will start with Patrick. Pat, who do you see winning Group 1 on Sunday in Trenton?
I've seen Bound Brook this year, but I've also heard tremendous things about Paulsboro. I think Paulsboro's hot right now. I'm going to say Paulsboro.
Wow. Mr. Zadalis, what do you think?
It's funny. I think Paulsboro hasn't really wrestled a great schedule. No disrespect intended to St. Augustine or Clearview, but let's face it, Bound Brook is wonderfully battle-tested, from being out in Minnesota to the schedule they wrestle in state. Surprise, surprise, I'm going to go with the Fighting Crusaders.
And Bill, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Paulsboro, I've seen them a number of times. They're 22-0. They've beaten every good team in South Jersey, St. Augustine, Delsey, Clearview, Highland. And they've done it at Gateway. And they've done most of it without Ronnie Gentile, who's a state champ, who's out for the year with a shoulder injury. I haven't seen them wrestle a bad match this year. I really couldn't be any more impressed with what they've done. That being said, I think Bound Brook, you look at some of the matchups, it could be tough. I think if they had Gentile, I would pick Paulsboro. As it is, I think they're probably going to come up one match short. It'll be a close match against Bound Brook, but I think Bound Brook probably pulls out a close one.
Yeah, Bill, and I'll close things out by agreeing with you and Joe. I think Bound Brook, yes, they have some holes in the lineup. They were a little bit banged up from time to time. I just think that they still are a level ahead of the other Group 1 teams in this state, and I think Bound Brook will win its 4th straight Group 1 title on Sunday in Trenton. That's it for us here for Group 1, but we'll be taking a look at all 5 public groups and the non-public groups. So keep it here at NJ.com, and we'll see you next time.